As we see this last Saturday, it was shocking to the world, but the world doesn't seem to take in regard the 75 years that every day almost you have Palestinian death and suffering. But we as Jews do take this into consideration. It's not how I personally look at this. It's how, as a Jew who's observant, who's following the rules of the Judaism, of the Torah, Judaism is subservience to God. That's what it's all about. It's a religion of 3,000 years, while Zionism is a mere 150 years. It's a transformation to nationalism, to have a piece of land. It's a political movement. It's a materialistic movement. It was started by Jews who are non-religious, and they're simply incorporating, using the name Israel, using the Star of David, and claiming that it's a God, it's given to them by God. And we who are following the Torah, who are true to the Torah, stand up adamantly refuting what they're saying. The Torah clearly states that we shall not kill, we shall not steal, and the whole concept is strange, is totally antithetical to our teachings, contradictory. The Jewish community had been living together with the Muslim community and the Christian community, and since this movement started, and since they gained hold in the land and eventually got rule over the land, there's been endless bloodshed. There's hate that has grown thousandfold. It's a wedge driven between the Jews and the Muslims, and it's brought death and suffering to the Palestinian people in the majority, but to the Jewish populace also. As we see this last Saturday, it was shocking to the world, but the world doesn't seem to take in regard the 75 years that every day almost you have Palestinian death and suffering. But we as Jews do take this into consideration. We say this is clearly a rebellion against God, and it hurts us more than usual because it's being done in our name. And the rabbis you are seeing, the power bases that you are seeing in the settlements that is fringe to the Jewish communities, those are the ones who bought into this tale that it's God's wish. But the central part of Judaism, the very religious, in whatever country, maybe in Argentina, the very religious says, no, we're dead set against this. We cry with the Palestinians. And therefore, what's happening today in Gaza, that they're bombing them relentlessly, and they're pointing and they're accusing them of being animals. It's even hard to repeat, and whatever they say of them, of being terrorists, it's all to cover their totally illegitimate occupation. And to that I'll bring a simple proof. We lived together, the Jewish community, for hundreds of years in Palestine, in Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia, Iran, in all the countries we lived and flourished as religious Jews amongst religious Muslims without any human rights groups to protect us. We always lived together. We babysat each other's children, even though we have a distinctly different religion, and it was never a cause of animosity. All that changed is the introduction of Zionism, the control of the land. And since that came, which is not 1948, it's in the 1890s or so, and they started coming in and taking over the lands. Since then, there's death and suffering, the Palestinians and of the Jews, because they are creating this fear, this hate, this estrangement. We can show many pictures how the Jews live together. Anybody old Arab will tell you, and every old Jew, how we used to babysit each other's children, like I say, and help each other. And I've had many stories of people will tell us. So it's clearly what these Ben Gvir and these other people are saying. They are coming from Mizrahi. That is that segment that is religious Zionists, but not the central, what we call the Eid Chorei, this God-fearing community, and around the world. We stand in total opposition, and it hurts us, and we have no words for the suffering, the Palestinians. That's why we came out, let's say even today. Yes, we go out in tens of thousands, but we would have hundreds of thousands demonstrating constantly, but the fear of the repercussions from the Zionists, because they're vicious. We went out, 2 days ago to Manhattan. We demonstrated. I came back, the tar cars were slashed, the mirrors were broken. This is nothing to what they have death threats, and in Jerusalem and Al-Quds and in the other parts of occupied Palestine, they people get killed and arrested and so forth. So there's a reason why there's less of a voice that you will hear, even though our communities are full in opposition to Zionism. And we plead with the leaders today. It's very scary what today we are seeing. And there's assembled 300,000 soldiers at the gates of Gaza, and it's and of course the bombing there, and it's heartrending. There's no words, and we can only again plead with the world leaders and demand that this injustice, this criminality, this suffering of the Palestinian people has to be addressed. It must be stopped. One day this will end. It's against God, and we as Jews are crying and hurting with them and praying for them, and we go out tirelessly. Some of us go out all the time. I mean, we're doing this for years, and many of others. There's demonstrations in the front of the UN, and therefore we're going out. A lot of the media doesn't cover it because they know that they will be accused of being anti-Semitic. But we try. We hope that with God's help, that with His compassion, that He will free them, and ultimately with a totally free Palestine, we as Jews will be able to show our tremendous gratification for the fact that we were embraced and taken in when we suffered in Europe. We went through crusades, inquisitions. It was the Muslim countries that took us in, and we flourished there. So we should be able to show again our gratefulness, and not to watch how they're being vilified. We hope it will happen soon in our days, and we apologize that what's being done in the name of Judaism.